Welcome everybody to Stay Engaged session for Friday, May 15th, 2020. Fantastic session today. I'm really looking forward to it personally and professionally. The good, the bad, and the startup in this time of COVID with two really incredible, still early stage, but with some exciting traction startups here based in Albuquerque, Electric Playhouse and AdWallet. We've got the CEOs of both companies, John Mark Collins and Adam Greenhood with us. And before we kind of launch in and tell you what we're going to be doing today, want to remind you what this series is all about. We started this series when we realized that COVID, basically early-ish March, late-ish February, COVID was throwing quite a kink into the fabric of our lives. And we felt one thing we could do to bring value to the community is help us all stay engaged in our respective startups and our respective ideas, search for value propositions that we could build a business on. And so we started asking around. One of our mentors in Activate New Mexico, which is our non-equity accelerator, ABQID powered by CNN Ingenuity, offered to contact some of his old Microsoft contacts. We started with a series on product management, active listening with an international business coach. And more recently, we've been asking a pretty fundamental question of New Mexico-based startups. How should I be responding? What are the opportunities in the midst of the chaos? And what are some specific examples? And that's really where we are today is the specific examples with these two companies. So I hope it's super inspiring, challenging and inspiring. This will be real talk. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. We like these intimate sessions, though we do have a lot of people in the meeting. It's going to be interactive. We want to be generative. We want, one of our goals is to increase the number of startups in New Mexico. And so we're going to do breakout sessions about 30 minutes from now after we have an initial discussion with these two fine gentlemen. And you're going to be able to meet a few other fellow running partners, entrepreneurs, people with ideas inside of institutions, the entrepreneurs, and we want you to meet some folks on this call as well. And so be ready for that. Don't be checking your email and this isn't one of those webinars. You want to stay engaged on a meta level. So I'm really, I've been inspired by these two people, but also the broader startups and teams they're building. So like I said before, it's going to be a fantastic way for me to catch up with both of them. But by extension, I think it's these are two startups and two people that really embody the spirit of what we want to do in New Mexico. So Adam and John Mark, really pleased to have you. And I want to get started. So 30 minutes, we're going to have this little fireside chat or Zoom side chat. We're going to do breakout rooms, and you're going to have a chance to meet three others in the community for about 15 minutes with some guided discussion. Then we're going to come back, share back what you learned, or give props and shout outs to some people you met during the breakout rooms. And then you'll have a chance for Q&A with Adam and John Mark. So all along this conversation, if you have questions, what I would encourage you to do is jot them down, because we're not really going to get to the Q&A part until probably 45, 50 minutes from now. So it gives you time to think through the types of questions you might want to ask and stuff like that. All right. Adam, we'll start with you. Introduce yourself. Who is Adam Greenhood?
Boy, who is Adam Greenhood? I'm trying to figure that out for 43 years. What I do know is that my name is Adam Greenhood, and I'm the CEO and founder of a startup here in New Mexico called AdWallet. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I have, a wife and two wonderful children, and one of them is 18 months old and is going to get his shots right now. So I can't wait for him to come back and be screaming throughout the house. We'll really get to test my mute effect. And I'm just so excited and happy to be joining the conversation. I've learned a lot in my last 2.5 years since starting AdWallet, and we're right on the precipice of another growth stage. So any help or information I can provide that's of any value, either for that or on anything else, how to take care of an 18-month-old, happy to be of service.
And we'll pass it off to John Mark when I unmute to introduce yourself while I unmute TJ. TJ?
Sorry, I wanted to pick on Adam one more time. What is your favorite COVIDian activity you've discovered or rediscovered during this time that, you know, without this happening to us, you
Right.
probably wouldn't have?
I've actually, I've got two. My first one is that since my little guy has been home for the past 2.5 months, and my wife and I still work full time, we've worked out this, I work 2 hours, she works 2 hours, and we kind of go throughout the day, these 2-hour spurts, and then each of us take him on. I strategically made it so that I take him on during his napping opportunities. And so we get in the stroller, and I push him around for an hour and a half around our neighborhood. We're blessed to live in a beautiful space here in New Mexico. And I walk him while he falls asleep, and I listen to excellent podcasts. I've been listening to a wonderful podcast that I will shamelessly promote, called 20,000 Hertz. Some of you might know it. It's an absolutely fantastic podcast. It's all about sound. And each little podcast is about little interesting stories about sound within our lives. That's my first one. And my second one is at night, when the little guy finally goes to bed, I'm entertaining myself on Netflix by watching the entire 7 seasons of West Wing. And so I'm somewhere in the middle of season 3.5 now. I shamelessly watch 3 or 4 episodes of it a night, and I'm remembering how much I liked that show growing up.
Those are excellent things. 20,000 Hertz. I had never heard of that one, but I've written it down.
Absolutely remarkable. Each little podcast, half an hour, and you'll the best podcasts are the ones with after half an hour, I think you walk away and you go, man, I didn't know that. And that's excellent cocktail party information that I can impress my friends with. So
once I see them again. Yeah.
Right, if I ever see them again.
John Mark, you, like I was saying before, you got an unfair advantage based on the nature of your business, but go ahead and introduce yourself and your COVIDian activities.
Sure. Hi, everybody. John Mark Collins, CEO of Electric Playhouse. I think the advantage that TJ is referring to is my non-virtual, virtual backgrounds, which are actually real, which I can change and probably will in the middle of this talk just for fun. I've been trying to figure out who John Mark Collins is for 42 years, so I got an extra year.
It doesn't get any better.
On Adam, but I'm a New Mexico transplant, about 15 years. My wife is born and raised here, 2 young kids, 4 and 6. I've got a background in hospitality, a degree in art, a degree in engineering, and my MBA. So I kind of am a little bit all over the place, but that has been a strong set of skills for what we're trying to build here. And in terms of COVIDian activities, in the family, we've my 6-year-old has crossed the threshold of just kind of throwing Legos around to really enjoying the Legos. So we have probably spent a good couple $100 on Legos over the last 2 months because she'll build them, take them apart, and then we need to get another one. And Amazon is like our best friend, so we've become a small Lego enterprise in the last couple years, couple months. Hopefully it's not a couple years.
Nice.
And I think that's really about it. So I'm really excited to be part of the conversation and hope I can lend some insight and look forward to getting some from you folks as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks guys for introducing yourselves and for the podcast recommendation. And I think for some on the call, they're familiar with AdWallet, they're familiar with Electric Playhouse, but it's always a good baseline to rediscover that. And then we'll get into some, basically deep, how's COVID affected the business type talk. But What's the pre-COVID pitch for Electric Playhouse? We'll start with you, John Mark.
Sure. So Electric Playhouse is the 21st century community center focused around using technology to augment play, dining, events, and social engagement. The technology itself allows for body tracking, motion tracking, both speed and facial tracking, so we can bring people into a room and have them experience something that's unique, individual, and context aware, and really get them to be social with each other using the technology as a platform to do that, and do it physically as opposed to being on your phones. We want to be the alternative to sitting on your couch playing video games. We want you up, running around, playing video games with your friends in a physical way. We provide dining experiences as well as a full cafe and bar, so we have crossover into the hospitality. And I think in terms of our competitors in the family entertainment space, we have a very unique, powerful, and ultimately infinite number of iterative opportunities in the space. Since it's all digital, we can change it on the fly.
And you launched a flagship location where you could really set the tapestry for what you can do with that vision. It was February 4th, was it?
February 1st.
February 1st. So you're open for about a month and a half. And how was that before COVID struck, as it were?
It was great. We did about 13,000 people through the doors from February 1st. Actually, that was just for February. And then we were on pace to do a little bit more than that, with the hopes that we might double that number with spring break. But spring break ended up not happening. So, ultimately we did, close to 20,000 people in the first 6 months, which is fantastic. Our financial projections were good. We were about 15% off what we were hoping, but for the very first month of operation, we'll take it. And we really got a lot of great feedback about the product that we were offering, and we felt the community groundswell of people getting behind us and really starting that momentum. So all felt good until the virus came around.
Yeah, and we'll put a pin on that one. We're going to fast forward once we get there. But for those who weren't aware, the hard launch, if you will, is February 1st. But they had a lot of group events happening in December. They had a preview that got opened up more and more through January. So I think January something is when I first took like my 3 kids and 5 of the many nieces and nephews I have in town. And even though I run trails, I still ran out of breath on the very first room where there's a game where you try to stomp on the color of your dots while not anybody else. Which one was that? Squares? I forget the name of it.
It's actually called guacamole.
Guacamole. Of course it's called guacamole. I should have thought about that. But anyway, fantastic experience. I was a customer, and both these companies, by the way, everybody, I'm a fund manager of ABQID Fund, and we're investors in both the companies. So that gives me a good view into the progress and traction. But it's not the only reason I wanted them on our Stay Engaged series. Awesome. We'll get to post March 15th here in a second, but switch over to you, Adam. Tell us about AdWallet, kind of pre-COVID, what the value prop has been, and kind of what the status was before COVID hit.
Sure. So put simply, what AdWallet is it enables everybody to finally participate in the value exchange for their personal data and their personal attention to marketing. And so if you have an AdWallet, in short, enables an advertiser to pay you directly the money that they would have paid a publisher like Facebook or Google or Time Warner or NBC to run an ad. They basically can run an ad directly to you, and they pay you the fee they would have paid those guys in exchange for your attention to that product and engagement in that product or service. And so it was, I've been in advertising 20 years, and I had been frustrated with that value exchange for the past 10 years. Because it really wasn't working very well for the end consumer, all of us, and frankly for the advertiser, who was spending an incredible amount of money, most of it being wasted through the channels of publishing. And so we basically decided, what if we built a pipe that connected an advertiser directly to their end consumer with no middleman really in between where they're running an ad. And so we started it 2 years ago, like I said, here in New Mexico as a beta test. We have just over 50,000 members now in New Mexico. And about 3 months ago, after testing and testing, we expanded, I guess now about 4 or 5 months ago, actually now I think in January 1st, we opened up AdWallet to be downloaded by anybody in the United States and started promoting it all over the country. And now we have 125,000 members in all 50 states. And we're on the brink, hopefully next month, of expanding from 125,000 members on up to hopefully about 1 million members in the next 3 to 4 months. So we're hoping for that, because that's where AdWallet becomes sort of turned on, if you will, as an actual pipeline that national advertisers can use. So we're really excited about that.
Fantastic. Yeah, seeing both of your all's journeys has been hugely inspiring to me. And I think to lots in New Mexico, all the good stuff happening here. Adam, you've got stories of how New Mexican-based advertisers have hit their stride and turned on more channels by using your product. That's got to be super rewarding. And John Mark, you quickly became the place where everybody wanted to host their celebrations. I'm thinking New Mexico United's unveil their jersey kit this season and stuff like that. And really the larger platforms for community and progress that you've built. It's fantastic. On the other hand, COVID did happen, is happening, will be happening. And this is where we got the title for this one, The Good, the Bad, and the Startup. John Mark, back to you, because I know there's been some dark days, and really almost immediately for you. Can you give us a little insight of how things changed for you? Little snippet of the decisions you made, how you came to some decisions when everything kind of went down mid-March.
Yeah, so it was fast in one respect. You know, we'd been kind of keeping tabs on it because a lot of our competitors in this kind of digital augmented space are international. You know, not necessarily in the US, and watching what was happening to some of our, you know, friends in Tokyo and Europe, and seeing that they were closing with pretty strict enforcement rules. And then, you know, just a couple of days before we made the decision, you know, Meow did the same thing and closed. And then that Sunday, I think it was March 15th, the governor restricted restaurant capacity and a couple other things. And, you know, that was kind of the last straw for us. Was, you know, we knew we wanted to do it to be safe, and we also wanted to do it quickly so that we could allow our staff to get unemployment, that we could take advantage of you know, some of the programs that were going to be out there. And we also, you know, we wanted to be at the forefront of taking this seriously. And, you know, even that same span of 2 days where we decided to do it, some other folks decided not to close, you know, and ended up getting some really huge social backlash. And, you know, I think safety wins out, and, you know, we're a community focused organization. So we wanted to do it as quickly as we could to make sure that people knew we were taking their safety seriously. So thankfully we had a lot of good leadership. You know, our board was very helpful. You know, our friends at Meow were helpful, and some other entertainment startups that were giving us, not even entertainment startups, but long-standing entertainment groups gave us some insights there. So it wasn't an easy decision, but once we had a path, it was clear what we were going to have to do. So it definitely was tough. I mean, you know, as a startup with 6 weeks, you're like, okay, well, that nest egg we had, you know, for opening now is you're cutting down your main revenue stream from X to nearly zero. You know, it adds a lot of questions, right? So how do you manage cash flow? How do you minimize your staff loss, but also maximize the amount of cash you still have in the bank so that you can operate? I mean, we're still dealing with those questions, but it was both a decision that was hard to make, but also we knew we had to make it, right? So
I heard you saying there, staff cuts, you know, engaging your board. You do have a board, looking out at other peers in the market. What are the beyond staffing cuts and things like that? What other measures have you taken to give you that longer runway? And we'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of how you're seeing the future. But what on the 16th of March, what were some of the kind of things you put into place
Yeah, so we did about a 45% cut of our corporate team, which, with a couple developers, a couple folks on the art department, and had the remaining crew focus on both some external projects that we had going that were bringing in revenue, but also on updating the existing platform and some improvements that we wanted to do since opening anyway. The bigger cuts obviously came at the West Side location where, it's all public facing. And so we went from, 50x employees to 2. Essentially our general manager and our chef were the only 2 that we kept. So we didn't have that giant knowledge loss. And so there was some continuity there when we could get back open. So we went down to a total of 16 people from about 72, which that was the biggest, obviously. The next step was the SBA disaster opportunities. And so as soon as New Mexico was listed as a disaster location, we applied for an SBA disaster loan, which thankfully we got, but took a while. And then we also took advantage of the PPP program. And both of those have given us, the ability to still be around, quite frankly. And, on the flip side, our largest investor is our landlord, which also gives us a huge benefit over some other people in the market, and having a really fantastic group of investors, to be honest. I mean, people that have, been through trials and tribulations, whether it was the 2008 recession or some other things, to give us guidance that, as a startup, you want to be kind of blue sky and you want to do great things and you want to move fast, but having people that are like, yeah, this is the time where you might want to sit back, put some money in the bank, make sure that you are thinking about survivability as opposed to just high growth. And so it's been a learning cycle for me, obviously, but we were able to do some things, I think, really quickly by making that decision and applying for all those things right out of the gate that put us at the forefront, that it makes us, viable to get through the summer even without revenue.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was, it's still an ongoing challenge, but we feel like we're in a position to be able to flip the switch back on.
Yeah, that's great. Like a couple of takeaways I pulled from that, being decisive. You didn't allow yourself to say, well, let's see if things change in a week, or you made some, with limited data, you made some decisive choices, and those turned out to be good choices to make. There's a chance maybe they were too rash or whatever, but not so. And then the strategic investor takeaway, having somebody who benefits from your success, not just financially, but in real estate, in this case, that puts their skin in the game. They're going to do whatever it takes to help you survive, because that's all to their benefit as well. So the smart money, as it were. Lots of follow-up questions for you, John Mark, but I want to give Adam a little more time to you to kind of share how it hit and kind of how you handled it, and the kind of new rhythm right away, and what AdWallet has done since March 15th-ish.
Yeah, sure. So like any business, I think every business in the world was affected by this at some level. Ironically, our business internally could very easily pivot to being fully digital, right? We didn't have a similar challenge like John Mark did. AdWallet is already a very digital business. So our sales folk, we always had a very small office. We were in there maybe a day or 2 a week, maybe. That obviously we stopped. But through Slack and Zoom, we were able to basically continue AdWallet without interruption. In fact, probably it's given me some focus on, do I need an office for AdWallet just yet? Do I need to be paying for a building? That's just sort of the nature of our business. All of our salespeople, were very easy to pivot over to having Zoom meetings with their clients. Everything else is managed digitally for us. So it was very virtual. So that was more on the internal side. It was almost a non-event. But ironically, from AdWallet, we've actually seen some benefit, frankly, out of everything that's happened. Most specifically, for us, a key component of our business is gaining more members, because the more members we have, the more valuable we become to advertisers, the more money they can spend, frankly, to give to our members. So our consumer acquisition cost, which before COVID had been about $1-ish, which was always, we were very excited about already as a business, has plummeted to about 40 cents. And we attribute that to, there's never been more people wanting to know the true value of their attention. How much money would, Amazon pay me, or an advertiser pay me to learn about their new product and engage and buy, and so on and so forth. So that number basically plummeted for us, which has made an interesting opportunity for us to now take hopefully the next 3 to 4 months, an advantage, frankly, of that cost and expand AdWallet for half the cost that we were already planning to expand AdWallet. So that was sort of a happy accident. Our sales, frankly, since March through now have been up. They're been going up. April was slightly down from March, which was one of our biggest months ever, ironically. But May looks to be about the same. And so, because we're also finding we have a lot of advertising systems that are frankly shut down right now. Before you all jumped on, we were talking about advertising in movie theaters. So, this is an entire system of advertising that right now has no inventory. Nobody can go into a movie theater. An advertiser who had already prepaid to run an ad in a movie theater is stuck. And so those sales folks are now selling AdWallet as another product that they can sell their advertisers that has been uninterrupted because you engage in AdWallet on your phone at home in the safety of your home. So there have actually been a lot of great things that have happened for us. Not that I would wish this on anyone, and frankly, even us, but there have been a lot of silver linings for our specific company. Having said that, one of the challenges for our company is if you're a startup, you're always raising money. You're either just ended raising money or starting raising money again. Where we were in that life cycle was frankly trying to close a round of new money right about in March. And that's been, now we do believe we'll close it in the end of May. But while our business is being very successful, I think John Mark touched on this, you have investors. We've been lucky. Our investors are all wonderful people and they've been incredibly supportive through this time. But getting new investors engaged in AdWallet is a steep hill because, this is not the moment to be asking anybody in the world for, hey, would you like to spend a bunch of money on this thingamajig? I don't care how good it is or what your numbers look like, unless it's the next Zoom or telemed thing. It's become a pretty myopic focus for larger investors. But having said all that, I think we're going to be able to accomplish our goals, close our round. But that's been the headwind that we faced, not actually on our business.
Mm-hmm. That's great. John Mark, back to you real quick, and don't want to dwell too much in here before we get to the last question. That'll help prompt some good breakout sessions for everybody. But looking forward, what has the thesis changed for Electric Playhouse? How are you all reading the tea leaves and getting good information on which to base decisions, given a business like Electric Playhouse is definitely in the eye of the storm? For example, you're not included in the you can open now order because you're more in that theme park or experience kind of domain that the governor said cannot open yet. How are you thinking about that? How does that factor in financially? You didn't mention like kind of where you were on the investment side. Adam mentioned they're working on closing around. So how are you seeing this in the future, and does it change anything that fundamentally about Electric Playhouse?
Yeah, yes and no. I think that just from a cash flow investment side, we recently cleaned up our cap table so that we could go back out to investors with kind of a reopening opportunity once we start to get some clarity on the entertainment business, both in state and nationally. And in terms of the product, I think that we're uniquely positioned. If you look at other, let's say Dave & Buster's or other family entertainment centers that have lots of really high touch pieces, we actually are motion tracking, and a lot of our experiences don't require you to touch anything. So you've got a lot of room to move, a lot of room to play without other people necessarily engaging you. So we have a couple games where originally the intent was to actually bring you closer to people, and we're kind of reconfiguring them so that they actually force you to be 6 feet apart. So we can actually use the technology to our advantage. I'm sitting in one of the dining rooms, and we have a system now that we're building. So once someone sits down in a seat, it'll actually put out a line on either side of it, pointing to the next closest seat that's available, so that people are just see it automatically, like with the technology, can see their 6 foot separation. It's a little gimmicky, but at the same time, it actually, we're using the technology to play to the perception that you talked about, right? Like, what is the perception of the public for these types of experiences? The big question though is that all of our core revenue streams, like the dine-in experience, which is high touch, the entertainment option, and then even our external projects, which are for museums, other entertainment venues, and other socially, focused entities. All of those industries are hit pretty hard, so it's sort of the one thing that we're trying to focus on is what is the uniqueness that can stand out in this time. And really it's the ability for it to take advantage of the space, the size, the person's motion, and make the experience safe by design. We talked about it before everyone was on the call, but we love Meow Wolf, but we have a hard time seeing how they make that space safe given just the tight areas and the small spaces, right? I mean, I think they have a bigger challenge in some ways than we do, and I'm sure they'll overcome them. But we have some power there, being kind of built the way that we were. So we're going to try to capitalize on that. We're going to try to bill us as the safest place to play, and rework some of the games to allow for whether it's a ring of 6 feet that follows you around the floor, right? I mean, we could actually do something like that
So I hear you.
Kind of really.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I hear you saying hunker down, find that uniqueness within this time, but I also kind of hear the energy for once that vaccine comes out, then you have high hopes for that core thesis that originated Electric Playhouse to flourish. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think that a lot of things have come our way in the last couple of months where everyone wants a virtual offering or wants some new product offering, and there's some temptation there to jump at those opportunities and reconfigure the core product completely. But I think we have to look long term, as we only had 6 weeks to really vet the current product that we have, and 18 months from now there might be a vaccine, and everything that we had previously planned for is really still on track. So I think it's going to be a combination of both. We might have to do some virtual offerings to get people back in the building, and as things and perception changes, I think that we'll go that route. But we don't want to change a product that we think is still incredibly valuable and has a lot of ways that it can change just slightly and still stay to the core. I think there's always that question out there in this time, though, is what are people going to do when the lights are back on, right? Like, is everybody gonna come running out? Or are they going to shelter in for 12 more months? Are the movie theaters going to be full when they can be open? And no one can really answer that, right? You call it the magic 8 ball.
Right.
So we're trying to be as flexible and efficient as we can as soon as we start to get some of that data. People are willing to do this, but not that, and immediately shift so that we can take those people in, right?
Yeah. But we'll get about 10 more minutes here, 5-10 more minutes before breakout rooms, because one more question I think will be great to segue there. But Adam, over to you. When you were talking about AdWallet, CAC has plummeted, as you said, 40 cents ish, down from $1. How are you reading the proverbial tea leaves? Do you see that continuing? Like, some in the advertising space has just fundamentally shifted, and that's not going to go away, or things are going to come back? What are you kind of thinking about on your leadership team and your board?
Yeah. Well, there's a few things, right? As a CEO, you have to manage, which is how much money do you have to sort of get the boat to the other side of safe harbor. And I think everybody could agree on the call, there is land on the other side, just you're not sure where it is. Is it, how far away is it? So, we're planning for things in that direction. AdWallet has really two mistresses, if you will, right? We have to gain the members, in which case it's never been a better opportunity, frankly, for us to go do that, which was always really what was going to happen next on AdWallet anyway. And then you also have to feed those we call them in AdWallet the hungry bears, right? And our goal is that everybody gets an ad on AdWallet, once or twice a week. That's the ultimate goal, and we're not there yet. So you can gain all these hungry bears. You can go get 1 million hungry bears, but you have to know that at some point you have enough to, meat to feed them. That's why they find value in the system. And so for us, and for me specifically, that tea leaf is, all right, if we go get 1 million hungry bears, when will we be able to feed them via the advertising, being back up and running? And for us, without question, advertising's been hit just like any other industry. Advertising is a canary in the coal mine for when John Mark wants to start spending on advertising, because it's time to come back to Electric Playhouse. And it's the first thing you shut off in a time like this. And so for us, it's managing, all right, what sectors do we think are going to come back first? And I think we're well positioned to talk about those sectors. And some of the sectors that we think might be a little bit longer are restaurants and are some retail that might have a longer tail. Whereas when we look at the money that we're getting now, it's from healthcare, communicating, what to do in this time of crisis. It's at the moment, one of our larger clients is get out the vote, sign up for a absentee ballot. So it's really communicating to key advertisers that AdWallet isn't just about, a retail message. If you have someone's attention for a minute or two, this can be used for public service announcements. This can be used for government messaging. This can be used for things other than, come in and, get a free XYZ. So, so for us, it's worked out fairly well. I think that we have a good plan. I think we're reading the tea leaves as well as possible, that we believe, frankly, by the end of Q3 or beginning of Q4 of this year, that advertising in general will start coming back, and that should be plenty for our little company to be able to take advantage and, sell what we need to sell in order to make our business flourish, and frankly, to feed the bears and make it so that everybody finds value in that and keeping their AdWallet account.
Feed the bears.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I got one more question before we break into breakout rooms for both of you. Right, we have lots of entrepreneurs on the call, lots who have left companies, been displaced by the disruption. They're sitting there with more or less a blank slate, or their companies were so early stage that they were able to not invest so much, and now we're lots of us sitting here wondering, where are the problems to solve now? What are the opportunities that I can embrace with my entrepreneurial energy, and especially in New Mexico, right? But even outside of the scope or lens of New Mexico, if you aren't working on Electric Playhouse, John Mark, if you aren't working on AdWallet right now, Adam, what have you seen that you feel through your entrepreneurial lenses are really incredible opportunities you'd like to see some startup activity here in New Mexico? Start with you, John Mark.
Sure. Yeah, so I think one of the things that, and this might not be the biggest money-making startup in the world, but as an artist, I feel that art has a place in terms of making pretty significant social change, and I think there's some real opportunities to get people together around art that would allow for some really pretty incredible ways of breaking down the polarizing things that we have in society. So if I wasn't doing this, where we get to do a lot of really cool art, but I would definitely be pushing something along the art for social change spectrum.
That's cool. Adam, what comes to mind for you?
Oh boy. It's funny because as an entrepreneur, I'm sure everybody on the call has their story of like, someone needs an app for that. I think that what's happened, right? We're all at home and we're all doing those sort of at home, trying to improve our houses, in the minor ways and in major ways. It's an opportunity for us to sort of make our little, to extend the bears metaphor, right? Our little caves, just the way we always wanted them. And, I was talking with our CTO the other day, who's doing a huge remodel on his house, and he's very, very frustrated with contractors, and we were laughing that unless anybody on the call can say different, nobody who has ever attempted a large home remodel has ever come out of it going, that was awesome, under budget, under time, crushed it. It was so wonderful. I can't wait to do it again. They're always just nightmare stories. And so we were discussing an app, frankly, that would help manage the home improvement process, everything from this is how you do it if it's a small project, or connect you directly with subcontractors. And beyond that, once you're actually entering into a contract with a contractor and all of the subs, that it manages as they complete each task, they unlock more money. And so you don't have that constant, we agreed on this and then it took that and you said it would be done by now and it's not. And how do I pay you? And what do you mean the vendors? So basically a simple, elegant app that anybody could basically set up a home improvement project, whether it be, I just want to know how to change my light bulb, on up to I want to put a new wing on my house. and elegantly coordinate all of the people, all the stakeholders in that around the app. And hope, the ultimate goal being I added this or that to my house, and it was an elegant, lovely, stress-free experience. And so,
and I still have my hair. Yeah,
I still got my hair. Right, it's not all great.
that's quality ideas, gentlemen. Nice job off the cuff. So that I love that question going into our breakout rooms, because one of the ways we stay engaged, not just hearing from awesome investors, entrepreneurs like yourselves, but meeting each other on the call. So we're going to do breakout rooms now, and I have 3 discussion questions for you. If you've joined us for weeks past, one of the points of feedback we've gotten is that more time in these breakouts would be better, because you're really enjoying the social interaction, meeting somebody you probably would never have met before. Cool thing, lottery style, John Mark and Adam said they want to participate here too. So maybe whoever's in Adam's group fleshes out this startup and gets going on it. I don't know. But we want you to spend 15 minutes and some light touch discussion questions, but I do want you to kind of get to them, and they're purpose built to help you get to know each other and what you're working on, if you're working on something, and then get to that generative idea generation and maybe some connections made discussion. But Dan has pasted them in the chat, and he'll explain how the Zoom breakout rooms work as well. But first question, kind of take 5 minutes. So you're gonna be in groups of 4, so más o menos about a minute. If you are a talker, you might, like me, need to get out your phone and tag yourself for 1 minute, no more, so you don't commandeer the discussion. But first question, take 5 minutes, go around, say your company's elevator pitch if you got a company, or even if you're part of a company, kind of pre-COVID, and how it's changed or not after COVID. So your elevator pitch, what you're working on, how it's changed. Second question, and Dan will prompt you all to, when it's time to change the second question, is how are you getting information right now? What sources are you coming to respect or know, mentors, whatever, as you make decisions about your company's direction during COVID? Or again, if you don't have a startup, what's your kind of information routine? Because I know there's a lot of noise, some signal. Where are you finding the signal right now as an entrepreneur? And third, definitely make sure you get to this question. What entrepreneurial opportunities do you all see? Have you been mulling in the midst of COVID? Takes another 60 seconds. Say, I like Adam's idea, or I was just starting to think about an art for social change organization that John Mark talked about. Who knows? Maybe somebody in your group actually was having a similar idea, and you guys could have a virtual coffee or a real coffee actually about it. So make some connections, put some ideas out there in the spirit of abundance, and see where it goes from there. And we'll see you in about 15 minutes. But Dan, explain a little bit more, because I know Zoom breakout rooms are going to be new to some folks. How's this magic going to work?
Sure. Thanks everyone for attending, and thanks for those that sent me messages letting me know that they had to drop off. Again, the Stay Engaged series is really about staying active, staying engaged, and so we do these active breakout rooms. So I'm going to encourage everyone, once you get into your breakout rooms, to, if you have a camera, go ahead and turn your camera on. You should have control to be able to mute and unmute yourself. Spend a minute getting to know each other super quick, and then we'll move on to those questions. I will broadcast when it is time to switch questions. We'll have about 15 minutes in total for those questions, and then we will come back. And basically how breakout rooms are is you're going to be in groups of 4 to 5. You'll go out into your own special Zoom session, and if anything goes wrong at all, feel free to end that session and it will bring you back to the main session. I will close all open rooms once the time is up. And once we're back, we will continue recording and move into kind of wrap up Q&A and lessons learned. All right, TJ, are we good to go on your end?
Vamos.
Okay, have a great session, everyone. You will have to accept to join the breakout rooms. One.
Welcome back from breakout room discussions, everybody. I was in with Azine, Rick, and Ken, and thanks guys for a great discussion and a powerful idea that came out of there, and I think a connection made too. So hopefully that happened in your rooms as well. Because it is 11:43 a.m., let's move into times. I'm sure you have some questions for John Mark, for Adam, and I wanted to respect that over maybe share back what you learned in your breakout rooms. So I'm just calling that audible right here. But one action you can take is in Zoom here, if you open up chat, you can send a message to everyone. And at the very end, I'll have everyone do that, say what you're working on and a website link or LinkedIn link. But if you got cut off, like Usama said, that it's violent, being swept back by the godlike powers of Dan Heron into the main room, send somebody your email address, contact info, so you can go ahead and make that connection that you made in the breakout room and follow up on that. I love it. But yeah, so I'm going to be manning the chat here. So any questions you have specifically about kind of back in the frame of AdWallet, Electric Playhouse, maybe something you wanted to follow up on based on what they said in that fireside chat, or ideas like, hey, what do you guys think about this? Whatever you want to do, now's the time to ask, and we'll get rolling. John Cole asks, Adam, what was the most successful media you found to build your New Mexico members? So I think that question is, how did you acquire, that 0 to 1, that first, how did you start, and how did you build some initial traction for AdWallet?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my background was in advertising for 20 years, and about 12 of them here in New Mexico. So I was very aware of every system that was to my avail as far as promoting AdWallet. And we frankly experimented still. When I launched, we were blessed when we launched to have, funding. And so we could really have the flexibility to play with all of these mediums. And for those of you in New Mexico, you might have noticed we actually, most of our launch was in outdoor. Which is unusual. The idea behind outdoor, frankly, in New Mexico was telling people that there's this thing called AdWallet that pays them money. Almost sounds too good to be true because it's an app, right? It's unlike John and Mark. I can't go and touch it and see Electric Playhouse and see it. We wanted it to feel real. And frankly, we felt that by putting this in an outdoor environment, the perception is, wow, if this thing is up on an outdoor board, they don't promote like fly-by-night bogus things on the outdoor board. That thing must be real. So we used a lot of outdoor. We ironically used a lot of digital. We joked initially that we were going to advertise the end of advertising on advertising, right? Because while I believe advertising is broken, I didn't have a better pipe than anybody else does. So I had to use the broken pipes as best as possible. So we heavily used outdoor. We used a lot of digital through Google. They were our partner very early on, which we were lucky about. So we knew how to use their pipes as best as they could. But we did TV, radio, sponsorships. To be very honest, of the things that we tried that we saw very little lift from, we didn't get very much from events, to be honest. And I think that's not to say that events don't work and sponsorships don't work. For our particular business, it didn't work because what we found is when someone is at an event, and I'll just use one quick example. We did a huge sponsorship with the Pit, or the New Mexico Pit, and where every single seat had a little card on it where you could download the AdWallet app. And this was the New Mexico game. It was New Mexico State versus New Mexico University. It was a packed pit. We spent tons of money on it. About 104 people out of 17,000 used the card to put the promo code in and sign up. It was pretty much epic failure. And what we found was that when you're at the Pit to go watch a basketball game, you're not there to sign up for an app, no matter what it is, no matter how cool it is. And so, when they walked in the Pit, it was like, what's this thing? I'm here to watch a basketball game. And so understanding your audience, not only are you communicating to them, but are they at a moment where they could actually care, frankly, and engage or care about what they're hearing rather than the other thing that they're there to do. And so lessons learned, but yeah, a lot of outdoor and a lot of digital.
Great stuff, Adam. John Mark, you're getting pegged with questions here. I'm going to combine the first two. How can we, as members of this community, continue supporting Electric Playhouse. That's from Alonzo. Thanks, Alonzo, for being here. Great question. They bought an annual membership when stay-at-home started. Other ideas, and then another kind of corollary to that is, what's the private dining look like? Would you offer that? Brian Steiner's asking. He's got wife, son. They go to your place for dinner, tons of space. You might be able to have a bunch of private dining rooms. So, how can we help?
Yeah, thanks, TJ. Thanks, Alonzo, for the support. We appreciate the annual pass purchase there. The things we're doing now while we're still closed for our primary, play activity, if you will. We have takeout and delivery, which is going to be extended starting Tuesday through lunch and dinner, Tuesday through Sunday. You can use any of the major delivery services, Grubhub, Uber Eats, or DoorDash. We're all connected to. We're going to have some new food offerings, things that we were going to open with when we reopen. So, if you want some high-end pizza and try something different, that's one way to support. Any annual membership purchased between now and the time that we really get opening will be honored all the way to the end of 2021. So we're going to give essentially 18 months or 12 months as well. So that helps. Any purchase done now, is revenue that is definitely needed. And we are definitely going to do the immersive dining. In fact, I showed this to the folks on the breakout, but that's where I'm sitting, right? So this is the table. There's the interactive table, right? Which makes it kind of fun. So we are definitely going to be doing the immersive dinners. We're going to do them a little more interestingly, smaller groups. And we're also going to open these dining rooms for regular dining for families and folks that want to do it, so that you can come in, you can have a completely private, sanitized experience in the space, and something you would be able to get someplace else. So the answer there is yes. We're going to offer the immersive dining as soon as we can open the cafe again, hopefully early June per the governor's comments on Thursday. So, we're looking forward to the next wave, and there's ways now that you can still enjoy some of our food, and hopefully very soon be able to come back in and enjoy some of the experiences. So.
Good stuff. Usama, I actually think this question is for Adam. Since the incentive for the users to make few extra dollars a week, are you targeting products or services that cater to lower income people? So this is kind of like what's the user base? Who's actually part of the 100,000 currently, and what does that mean in terms of the type of advertisers you've been trying to draw into that platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. So when we started AdWallet, I had no idea who'd sign up, right? Would it be a bunch of broke college kids that were looking for a couple extra bucks or what? And I really, to be very honest, didn't care, because I felt like let the product sort of determine, who's interested in it. And then there's advertisers for broke college kids looking for beer money, and there's advertisers for people who are looking for a BMW. It didn't matter. I just sort of wanted it to speak to me. What we found was that we got 13-year-olds to 99-year-olds. We got broke college kids looking for beer money on up to folks that make $200,000 plus a year, and everything in between. And it became very clear that actually the sort of key to AdWallet is convincing everyone that they need an AdWallet, that it's not about making a few extra bucks here and there. It's not about supporting a lifestyle because because the money that you're going to make from AdWallet is never going to be like quit your job and watch ads. That's really not how it works. And that the bigger grab for us was, you should have an AdWallet, because frankly, if any advertiser, whether it be McDonald's or BMW, is paying Google or Facebook or anyone to get your attention, they should be paying you first. And so that it's more of a revolutionary, this is a much higher grab than, we all talk about wanting to monetize our own data and attention, and why do these companies make so much money? This is that vessel to do it. So the art of having an AdWallet is more of a civic duty. You should absolutely have an AdWallet. So no matter how much money you have, if an advertiser is paying to talk to you, and they pay to talk to all of us, they should pay you first. And so to extend on that, just quickly, our advertisers, we have, I'd say about half, since half of our audience or half of our membership is still from New Mexico, and New Mexico is globally considered, unfortunately, lower income in general. Some of the advertisers that have had the most success are credit repair. Right now we're running a campaign for a company called Self Inc., which is really an amazing company, and it helps folks repair their credit. It's crushing it. Insurance, education for, getting back in the workforce. These things have been great. But having said that, our other most successful clients are life insurance companies that are talking to folks that make $100,000 plus a year and are suddenly looking to change life insurance. So for us, that's the marketing challenge, is moving away from, hey, looking for a little extra money, get an AdWallet, to AdWallet is more of, I would like it to see, wear a sticker like I voted, like I have an AdWallet, meaning my data and attention is valuable and I should be the one monetizing it, no one else. And that's sort of where we're headed for our next million members.
Good
I like
stuff,
that.
Adam.
Thank you.
One last opportunity for a question. If anybody's got it in chat here before we move on to close. We do a fun little close here. Going once. Going twice. Adam, yeah. Monetizing data. You planning to do that? Once you amass all this awesome data, have a back end revenue stream with monetization? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so for us, that's kind of a third rail. So the idea is lots of people monetize data right now, but you as the end user, your data, you're not in on the, you don't get a cut. In fact, you're the only one left out in the cold, and it was your data. And so right now we do allow you to monetize your data via, you can allow an advertiser to purchase your verified email at the end of an ad, and you opt in whether you would like to provide your email to that advertiser for more money or not. So the way that we envision monetizing your data will always go back to what are you willing to provide your data for? What price would you put on your phone number or your email, or an advertiser like BMW knowing 7 key things about you? What's your price? And you opt in and out of whether or not, will they pay that price? And so, yes, the answer is yes, but it's not, we wouldn't do it the way it's currently done, which is, great, we've got all your data, now we're going to sell it to other folks and give you none. That exchange will in effect be between you and the advertiser, and you will make those decisions on a case-by-case basis.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's good. It's being mission driven about it, which is on point and impactful. I think we all see a lot of nodding heads here. All right. Thank you so much. I got a lot of energy from that. This is quickly becoming one of the highlights of my week, and I hope it is for you. Quick preview of next week, and then I have 2 asks of everybody. One is next week, we'll be talking with Jerry Prochaska or Rob Thompson of Ganymede Games. Also an ABQID fund investment. A few other funds in New Mexico put in some money, and they've been hit by COVID. So we'll have that kind of COVID conversation. But what I'm looking forward to, and on behalf of the community, is Jerry. He led Riot Games to number 13 on Fortune's Best Places to Work for 2 consecutive years, and he headed third-party publishing at Wargaming, which created the $1 billion World of Tanks franchise. So I'll let him tell the story next week of why he chose New Mexico to land for his startup after a series of successful participations in a few high-flying startups in the gaming industry. And then we'll have a larger conversation about, I think will be helpful around inspiration and really data-driven thinking that we can employ as startups in New Mexico about how to land on our next idea and get traction for it. And so I appreciated the questions, actually, John Cole and Usam, around how did you get started. They're a little earlier. They haven't launched the game yet. They'll tell you all about it, but it's going to be a fun session. Gaming is gaming, so video games are really fun, and you'll get a little preview of what they're working on, which is really fantastic. But again, you'll have a chance to interact with your fellow entrepreneurial community here in the Zoom breakout rooms. So invite a friend, tell a friend, say you should come to this. You might meet somebody cool. And Jerry Prochaska and Rob Thompson, they're definitely very cool. I've come to really deeply respect them and as thinkers and doers, and I think you will too. So that's next week. Last thing, in the everyone chat, love to try to one more push to get y'all connected. So in the chat, put your name or actually your name's already there, you don't have to do that. Say, I'm working on blank. And if you have a thing you're working on, your company, URL, a prototype you've been working on, put it in there. Put it in there. And even, and if you extra credit, I'm looking for blank, especially on the connectivity side. I'm looking for beta testers. I'm looking for co-founders. I'm looking for customers, whatever it is. And you put yours out there, and by doing that, you've agreed to look at everybody else's cool stuff. And last ask is, Dan put it in again at some point here, but take a minute, provide us some feedback on the forum, the tinyurl.com link. So once you post your thing and you read others, if you could just quick lickety split, provide some feedback. These sessions are free, so I would ask for you to give us some value in exchange by giving us some feedback, how we can improve, make this even more powerful for the community. All right, so Activate NM, shameless plug for that, looking for early stage startups. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, John Mark, so much for spending your valuable time with us. You guys have a great one. And we'll be in touch.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, appreciate it.
John Mark says, I'm just going to read these, by the way, as everybody's kind of cycling out. Thanks for being with us today. Zine Marnouche is working on AR, augmented reality chat app for Teams. He's got a working prototype, but he's going to open source it. So if you're interested in that, you can connect with Zine on LinkedIn. Beta testers, when Electric Playhouse is closer to opening again. Helping startups think about finance and accounting issues. David King, you gave an excellent session on unit economics. Speaking of cost to acquire a customer last week. So definitely connect with David if you are in the realm of needing that financial story, how to tell it for your company. Thank you, Eric Rins-Whitmore. Brian Steiner owns software dev called Noventum. Put his phone number out there, boom. Kanani, great to see you today with Fruit Stand Technology. Beautiful and effective websites for small businesses, and they keep them fresh, and they're in hot pursuit of customers. There's email and phone. Thank you, Kanani. John Cole with Muse Biz, looking for co-founders. We'll check out any ideas. And he's been built slowly but methodically building a pretty cool community there. Thanks, John, for being here. Usama is all about data monetization, hence his question to you, Adam. So currently in the Activate NM program, which is awesome, starting a sports betting company that relies on analytics more than clout. Struggling with UI and design if anyone has ideas. Antonio, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Budboard.co, doing some really cool stuff in the legalized marijuana space and beyond. Ken, Dromo.health, good stuff. Also in the Activate NM portfolio. Chap Grub with Rerouted Co-op. I've just bought my backpack a couple weeks ago for summer backpacking from Rerouted. They sell used gear with a really impressive model that they're hoping to really scale up, and they're really good timing for COVID, frankly. Yep, order that pizza, support these awesome startups, get these email addresses, say, hey, I want to have some coffee, yada, yada, yada. And I think that does it. Dan, anything else from you?
No, thank you so much. If you could take a minute to fill out the short survey, that'd be great. I'll send a follow-up email for those that joined us through Eventbrite, as well as upload this to our website so that you will have access to the transcript as well as the video. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon.
Stay engaged, everybody.
Take care, guys.